Hello and welcome to Edupedia World. In this video we'll be taking a look at how we can create this extremely cool Hunger Games logo using the plugin called Saber. So let's just take a look at what this is. So as you can see, we have got the logo fading in, and then the fire coming around, and the Hunger Games logo like being drawn up, and then a lens flare here to the side. We can add the lens flare as we want. The lens flare is not made with Saber, instead it's made with optical flares. But we've got this very cool fire. There's some fire on the bird, there's a fire on the arrow, and yeah. Let's take a look at how this is done. So it may look a bit intimidating, but it's actually not that hard to make. So first we want to create our composition, and we will call it Hunger Games logo tutorial. Enter, and here we are. So of course we want to start up by importing our Hunger Games logo. So I found this on the internet. There's someone who has taken the logo with all the fire and tried to cut out the bird, because as you can see there's still some fire left, but in my opinion that does not matter. Why can't I select the layer? For some reason the gizmo for this bird isn't showing. For some reason I couldn't get this gizmo to show, but now it does, so that's all nice. So first I want to just pick a size that fits, and I think this will do, and it's pretty much in the middle. So there's a few elements to this animation. I had a red background, I had the fire around the ring, and then I had the fire on the bird and the arrow, then I had a lens flare, and I think that was about it. So let's start by creating the background. So let's call this BG and put it beneath the logo. Then I will find a effect called ramp and put it onto the background. This basically just creates like a faded ramp. I want to put it to a radial ramp and change these 2 points. So something about like this should do. So we will now swap the colors and change this to something like this color. I think would look good. Something like that. And then I will maybe adjust this a bit. Add some ramp scatter, and then I will add an effect called turbulent displace, and I will show you what it does. It basically displaces the background and just makes it look a bit more energetic. I'll actually change this color to something like this, and it basically just displaces the background and makes it look a bit more energetic. So there we go. I will use this option to blend with the original to just get a subtle effect behind the bird. And there we go, we've now created our red background. It's now time that we create the ring of fire around this bird. So we will create a new layer and call this fire ring. And I'll add the Saber effect, and I will turn down the opacity to 0, and then just press Q a bunch of times until I have the circle tool. I'll try and draw a circle, and this should be good. So I'll just press V, shift click on this little box, and I can start moving these points around. So I'll just quickly try and match the shape of the ring. It does not have to be very precise because of all the fire that's going to be added, but precision always helps. So there we go, we have now got our shape. If we highlight it, we can see it right here. Let's actually change the color to something a little more visible, and that didn't help. Maybe white. What color should we choose? Green. I think it's the blue color because that's a complementary color. Yeah, the blue is pretty visible. So we can now start adding our fire. So we first want to, of course, show our layer again. So put this to 100%, and then, as we did in the other example, we want to change this to a layer mask. We want to screen it on top of the other layer of the bird, and we actually want to put this fire ring beneath the Hunger Games logo. And we can start playing around with the settings. So I will use a preset called hot, like this, and if we just preview this, then you'll see we actually got something that looks quite alright already. As you can see, this is the end goal, and we aren't there just yet, but we are getting closer. So as you can see, if I just bring up a picture from the Hunger Games, this is what it all looks like. So you have to create some fire, and it has to blow to like one of the sides. So let's try and address the issue with the wind first. So we want the fire to move to the side, and as you can see right now, it's actually just moving straight up. And actually I didn't use hot, I used heat. Now that I remember, see, this looks much nicer. So we want to create some wind. So if we go into the glow settings and change the wind speed, we can see right now it's moving up and down. If we just turn this a bit, then we will see it's moving more to the side. So around 47 degrees will make it move to the right direction. So if you preview this, you can see it's now moving to the right. There we go. I will now try and change these settings to make the fire look just a bit more energetic. Change the spread, change the glow bias, and the core size I'll keep that pretty small. This should actually look pretty nice, and as we can see, it does. So we can try and change the distortion amount, and as you can see now it's way more energetic. I'll actually increase this a bit like this, and I will try and dim down these settings so that we get less of this red here to the side. So I actually think this looks better than the example we had here, so that's nice. Turn up the intensity a bit. There we go. I will quickly dim down the background just a bit like this. And there we go. We've now got a very energetic fire. Maybe it's a bit too energetic. And we can change that by changing this bias and the color size and the spread. So I think we will go for this with the fire, and we may change it later. I don't know. But it's time to move on. So as we saw in the example that I had, I also had some fire on the wings and on this bow, because right now this fire is static, so we don't want that. We want to change it. So do Control Y and make a layer called fire top, because it's on top of everything. I'll add the effect and remove, I'll set the opacity to 0 so we can see everything. And now I actually just want to go in and create some simple shapes that that follow the curves where I want fire. So I want some fire on this wing. Just create a shape that follows the edge of this wing, like that. Press V to deselect, press G and create a new one. So draw along this line. And there we go, we've now got 3 shapes. I also want some fire here, some more fire down at the bottom of this ring. So I will just create a shape that follows the ring. And there we go, we've now got 4 shapes, and we can turn the opacity back to 100. As with the other one, I want to set the layer mask, set the code type to layer mask, and set it to heat, like this. We can now screen this on top of our bird. And if we preview this, you'll see it's actually a bit too much energy. I actually think I want to remove the pink mask and instead make a mask that follows this tip of this wing. Maybe make them meet here in the middle. So there we go. This looks very nice, but it's way too energetic, so I will turn the energy or the intensity down by quite a lot. And then I may also want to change the color, make it a little bit more yellow, because as we can see, if we turn all of this off, then in my opinion this outer ring is more red and these wings are more yellow. So I've created this fire to be more yellow. So I just want this to be some slight fire, so I'll dim it by using this spread. And as we can see now, we've got some very nice faded fire. This also has to be distorted with the same wind direction, so it was 47 degrees. And now you can see it's blowing the same direction as the other wind, or as the other fire. So if we just enable the background, there we go, we've now got some very intense fire. In my opinion, there's too much going on here at the sides, so I will try and find the where we can change that. So we first want to be on the right layer. That's very important. I think it's in the glow settings. So if we, you can see here, if we change the size and the intensity like this, we can start bringing the edge in. So and there we go. In my opinion, this looks very nice. So let's just check and see if we have forgotten anything. We haven't. So I will create a Control Shift Y, and I'll create an adjustment layer where I'll add a curves adjustment just to do some simple color correction. So I'll add a bit of contrast like this to the whole image, and as you can see, it just makes the colors pop a bit more like this. And actually, now that we look at it, I think this color is wrong. I don't think it looks that nice. Now it's more red and it looks even nicer. So if we preview this, you can see we've got a flaming bird with a nice background. So now we can add the lens flare. So Control Y, call this flare, and this is optional. You don't have to do this, but since I have the plugin, I will add it. So add the lens flare, optical flares, click on options and find this preset. Then I'll put it out here to the side, and I'll actually tint it to match the color. And then I will set it to screen, and it's going to fit nicely over our animation. So if you take a look at this, see the fire is moving and the lens flare is just sitting there, so we can add some flickering. So I'll set the speed to something pretty high and then the amount to like 27, and if we preview this, and you can see we've got some energetic flickers here from the side. They just add to the whole image. Next we want to add the text in front of everything. So as you can see, we've got this nice text that's like being drawn up, and we can also add that. So Control T and type in Hunger Games, enter, and place it where we want it, somewhere around there. So I will create a new text layer, sorry, new solid, and call it fire text. And again, I will add the Saber effect. This time I want to customize the core, and instead of setting the core type to layer mask, I'll actually set it to a text layer, and then we will get a drop down menu where we can choose our text layer, and in this case it's the one called Hunger Games. So if we put it to screen, then you'll see it's added on top of the text we've got. So if we put the text on top, then we can see our text and the saber shine. I actually only want to see the saber fire effect, so I will just hide my text layer. Then I'll go in and change the preset to heat, and I will have to change these settings around quite a lot to make it look nice. So I'll go into the distortion and find the core distortion, and this is set to 0, so it actually won't distort anything. Then it may be in the glow, yeah, it's in the glow distortion. just want to change these settings around a bit to where it looks alright. You can of course not do as I do and just figure things out yourself. I'll put the wind direction the same as the wind for this fire, and if we go into the customize core, we can see the core softness has been set to 25. If we turn this down to 0, then you will see we can actually start seeing the edge of the letters. So I want to set this somewhere where you can see the edge, but it's not too sharp. So I think this looks nice. And there we go. We've now got all our elements in the video. And you can of course feel free to just mess around when you work on it, and when your animation is like being developed, and you may think that something looks a bit odd. I think that this fire is a bit too much, so I'll try and change this to fit better. And there we go. It's now time that we create the animation, because as you can see, there's quite a lot of animation in this one. So let's try and recreate that in here. So I will first take, let's start by animating the flare. Oh, sorry, let's just start by hiding. Why have I created a null? I do not know. Let's start by animating just this this layer. So we have this layer to fade in, so I'll just press T and I'll place some keyframes. So this is 100%. I'll move this over here and then I'll put it to 0% here, so it's going to fade in like that. Maybe put it to F9, so easy ease, and it's going to look a bit nicer. There we go. Now I want to add the fire ring behind the bird. So as you can see, I want the ring to go around. So let's just go into these fire settings, and then we can start changing the end offset or the start offset. I think I'll use the start offset. So if we put the start offset to 100 and then move a bit and put it to 0, then we will see this ring of fire being drawn around the bird. And then as this is happening, so let's say around here, I want the fire on the bird to start popping up. So if we I think I added the curves adjustment to just this fire, so I want to remove that. And so I created a null object instead of an adjustment layer. That's a bit sad. Let's just do like this. So this is the adjustment layer that I meant to add. For some reason I added a null object instead. So you see these are already there. We want them to fade in around here, so we can use the same technique by changing the start offset. So press U to see the keyframes and put it to 100. And if we just preview this, then we will see the fire fading in. Fire goes around and fire starts on the wings. Looks very nice in my opinion. There we go. as all of this happens, I would like to fade in the background. So press T and just make it fade in. There we go. The background is now faded in, and we can start working on the text. So it's actually very easy. It works the same way as the fire. When this is all lit up, I want the text to start being drawn up. So I will change, I'll set a keyframe for the start offset, and then like make it animate over like almost 2 seconds. Put this to 100%, and now we can see Hunger Games slowly being drawn up. We could change the glow intensity to like raise as it's being drawn, so put a keyframe right here, and then somewhere around here we can turn it up. Press B to start the preview from here, and we can see the intensity of the text rising. There we go. We can now make the lens flare fade in. So I want it to start right where the fire is, like around here. So the flare, change the opacity. There we go. I'll actually put this a bit before, just as the fire starts. There we go. We've now got our flaming Hunger Games logo. So in the end I had everything fade out, and if you watched the last video then you will know how I did that. So I'll create a layer and call it fade. It has to be on top of everything, and I'll put the opacity to 0, and then when I want the animation, the fade out animation to start, I'll put a keyframe, move to the end, and put the opacity to 100%. So the layer above everything will be shown in the end, and the layer above everything is black, so it will fade to black like this. So let's just press 0 and we can see our animation. And remember guys, this is all made with a free plugin. There we go. In my opinion, the Hunger Games logo is being shown a bit too early, so it just sits there all by itself. I just want to do like this. There we go. That looks much nicer in my opinion. Bam. So that's about it for how you can create a Hunger Games logo. And remember, in the movies they've created this using advanced 3D software where they have simulated fire and stuff, and they've used multiple days to create it. We just created something that looks almost as nice in around half an hour. So yeah, that's about it for how you can create a Hunger Games logo using the plugin Saber. Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Stay tuned for more videos.